Without a doubt, the Cask of Amontillado is one of Edgar Allan Poe's most chilling tales of horror. There are few revenge tales as primal as this one, and nothing strikes a chord of fear more than the cold-blooded sentence of being buried alive. But what is the inspiration? How did he get it from an idea to the printed page? The story begins in 1839, while Poe was living in Philadelphia when he first met Thomas Dunn English, a physician with literary ambitions. At first, the two were friends, but eventually that friendship transformed into a bitter rivalry that would last until both men met their graves. Somewhere around 1843, the two had a falling out, which may have involved alcohol. Poe was known to have an occasional drink, and English was very much an advocate of the temperance movement, an undertaking that eventually led to alcohol prohibition in the 1920s. In 1843, English published a pro-temperance novel titled The Doom of the Drinker, which featured a character named Walter Wolfe. The character is an obvious dig at Poe, describing him as a brilliant writer, a drunk, and a plagiarist. His fine analytic powers, together with his bitter and apparently candid style, made him the terror of dunces and the evil spirit of wealthy blockheads who create books without possessing brains. He made no ceremony, though, in appropriating the ideas of others when it suited his turn, and as a man was the very incarnation of treachery and falsehood. Later, in 1845, Poe was asked by a woman to return letters that she had written to him that she believed contained indiscretions. Poe said that he had returned the letters, and the story is that he asked English for a pistol to defend himself against her brother. English expressed some doubt that Poe was actually telling the truth. This infuriated Poe, and the two men had an old-fashioned fistfight, with Poe later claiming that he administered to English a flogging which he will remember to the day of his death. English denied that he lost a fight to Poe, but nonetheless took up his anger in the written word. He wrote another prohibitionist novel titled 1844, or The Power of the SF, in which he included a character named Marmaduke Hammerhead, the famous author of a poem, The Black Crow. It was obviously a parody of Poe and his famous poem, The Raven. After the New York Mirror published a letter in 1846 about Poe written by English, Poe sued for libel and won a $200 judgment. Poe would embark on a literary answer of his own. Poe had an interest in living burials and knew of it as punishment. An immediate source of inspiration would have undoubtedly been A Man Built in a Wall by Joel T. Headley. Published in the Columbian magazine, Headley tells that while visiting the church of St. Lorenzo in the Italian town of Don Giovanni, he found a niche in a wall where a skeleton lay undisturbed. Headley indicated it was a powerful man who lay in this unsightly and open tomb. The man died by suffocation, and he was built up alive in that wall. He was packed into the rough wall and built over beginning at the feet. The agony had passed, revenge was satisfied, and a secret locked up for the great revelation day. Another story Poe would have read was by Le Grand Bretèche by Honoré de Balzac. First published in 1831, the tale is about a jealous husband who, upon discovering that his wife's lover is hidden in a closet, has it walled up right in front of her. Later in 1843, an adaptation appeared in the Democratic Review, a periodical of note. With revenge and living burials on his mind, Poe struck back at English with the best weapon he had, his pen. While living just outside of New York City in Fordham, a neighborhood located in the western Bronx, Poe wrote the Cask of Amontillado in 1846. The cask poked fun at the absurdity of Fortunato, a character born into wealth, revered in high society, but a buffoon riding on the coattails of his family name. Often thought to be a caricature of English himself, Fortunato was a drunk. This added further insult to English, who wasn't into the whole alcohol thing at all. Portraying him as a drunkard would have infuriated him. Ultimately, the story's antagonist Montresor buries Fortunato alive in the ultimate act of revenge for an unnamed insult. Could the insult have been writing untrue stories about Poe? Sure looks that way. Although the backstory behind the Cask of Amontillado is seldom talked about during 7th grade literature class, its gruesome tale of revenge will be forever remembered amongst those who dare to take on the mantle of its horrific outcomes. Now amongst one of his most widely read works, the tale adds to Poe's reputation as an innovator of literary form, technique, and vision. Almost every important American writer and storyteller since Poe shows signs of his influence, particularly those writing Gothic fiction and grotesque satires and humor. What influences you? What have you seen that might make a good story? Hopefully it's not too Gothic. Let us know in the comments and be sure to like, subscribe, and smash that notification bell for more content.